Welcome to the Relentless Podcast, and today we have a very special guest, an Olympian, a strength coach, a father, an all-round legend, Ryan Gambin. How you doing, my man?
I'm doing well, man. Very, very good at intros.
Welcome to the studio and welcome to the show.
Thanks. Good to be here.
Absolutely. Bro, I've been wanting to interview you for ages because I first heard about you multiple times. And you know, usually if you're hearing about someone, it's always consistent from multiple different sort of people and streams. You start to get a little bit curious and interested. And that's what happened with you when I came up to the Goldie. You know, so many people are like, you got to meet Ryan, man. He's an absolute legend. He knows his stuff. He's crucial in the industry up here, and all these amazing things. And then obviously I reached out to you. We had a chat. We got to meet, and dude, I was blown away. I was blown away by, number one, just how humble you really are, and you've done so much, and it's inspiring. And I wanted to bring that knowledge and that inspiration and the mentality to my audience. So again, thank you for joining me, dude.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Done a few podcasts now. All have their different kind of vibe and sort of the way they direct things. So this is cool to be with you and see what you do. Mutual respect, got a lot of respect for yourself. Looking forward to working with you.
Yeah.
Always knew we would. As soon as our mutual friend Sam kind of same sort of thing started filling me in with you and what you're about. I'm like, okay, yeah, this guy, we might work together in the future. And then we caught up and here we are.
Exactly
doing
right.
it.
The ideas were popping.
Yeah.
Well, look, enough about me. I'd love to talk about me, but let's talk about you. Let's talk about the man.
Cool.
You have done some incredible things, and I just want to give everyone a bit of an idea of where you've come from, how you started, and I guess the mentality that's taken you to those heights and to where you are right now. Where did your athletic sort of journey start for you?
Mate, early. Quite early. In a way, I guess it was just all I knew. So literally thrown into the pool at a very young age by my mother, bless her. Too much energy as a child, too many naughty, got up to too much mischief, and swimming was just that real easy way to just burn energy before and after school. So that's how that started, just being a mischievous child.
Yeah. So interesting. And I mean, you're a beast. You're a natural athlete, right? You could do so many sports that I'm sure you'd excel at. Was swimming like a passion for you, or were you like, no, I want to be a basketballer, I want to be a wrestler?
Good question, man. Really good question. Some people forget to ask that question because I was a swimmer and that was my whole childhood life leading into early adulthood.
Yeah.
And now that you ask that question, I don't know. I don't think I did. I don't think I actually enjoyed swimming. I enjoyed being good at something.
Yeah.
And I just channeled the energy that I had into that sport and took it as far as I could, because what else are you going to do growing up as a child with a supportive family? And to be honest, that's something that I realize now, like only very recently as an adult and as a father myself, the dedication that it took on my family's behalf to allow me to follow my dreams. So I definitely, as I get older, I definitely credit my parents more and more for my success as an athlete.
Yeah, so true. And so you've done a lot in your career, but let's just fast forward a sec to the Olympics. I mean, you're Olympian. This is a dream for people. People, like, it's huge. Let's not, it's a big deal. Let's just put it that way.
Cool.
Now, how long did it take you to get to that stage?
I was 24. I was 24 when I competed at the Olympics. I'm sure I've got a bit of a unique Olympic story when it comes to my Australian swimming career. And I actually transitioned. I'm half Maltese. Yeah. So I transitioned over and I ended up swimming for Malta at the Olympics because they had never had an athlete qualify for the Olympic Games.
Wow.
So it was a chance for both of us, kind of myself and the country of Malta. We like to create history.
Wow.
And I had some problems, which I'm sure we'll get into through my the way I was being coached. I didn't believe I was being coached efficiently for my event.
Yeah.
And swimmers can sometimes be a little notorious for that, for just... What I realized I was doing these days is I was training to get better at training. It was almost like we forgot about my event. So these days, that's why I'm very passionate about what I do as a strength coach and the advice I give, because I do know the advice I give sends people down a path.
Yeah.
And that path is either an efficient pathway to their goals, or it could be a pathway towards injury or loss of a career or something like that. So I always come back to practice your event. Do what's good for your event. Never forget what your event is. Don't get caught up in training. And every sport that I've dealt with has that to an element, to a degree.
Yeah, wow. So you created history with Malta, which is incredible. So was it a 12-year goal, or however long it was? Was it that how long you had your eyes on that
My
prize?
eyes were set on the Olympics since I was swimming as a child. I was pretty fortunate through my primary schooling. My teacher, or one of the teachers that I was fondest of was actually Chris Feidler's mother. And Chris Feidler was just an incredible Australian Olympian. I'm positive he was the captain of the Olympic swimming team for many, many years. He was part of the relay that just had their 20-year anniversary. One of my best friends to this day, Ashley Callis, Michael Klim, Ian Thorpe, and then Chris Feidler were involved in this race. So Chris Feidler's mother was a teacher at my school, and I credit her to a lot of my success too, because she was always there to encourage me. And I kind of went through the ranks must have been a good 7 to 10 years earlier after Chris went through the ranks. And he was a locally renowned swimmer, breaking all the records. So it was always my goal to break his records. And he was quite supportive of that as well. I still remember being in primary school and Chris wrote me a handwritten letter and on how to break his 200-meter freestyle record.
Yeah, wow.
And I really think that was kind of, one of the major things that influenced me going, yep, okay, I'm pretty good at this sport. I want to take it as far as I can.
Yeah, that's incredible. Are you naturally super competitive?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I am, but I don't make much noise about it. Yeah. I'm kind of like super competitive, but I'm like, okay, I got my eyes on you.
Yeah.
I'm going to go away and do the work and then see what
yeah.
I come back with.
Yeah, nice.
That's kind of how I work.
Yeah. So, I mean, you've surrounded yourself with A-grade, best of the best, world-class athletes. Do you feel like that competitive mentality is just a common thread between all of these guys that, make it to the top? That's sort of that beast mode competitive nature.
I might say no. I might say no. I wouldn't say that it's something that I see regularly in the top guys. Not everyone is super competitive. Some people are just good. Some people are just extremely good and talented, and those guys aren't necessarily the most competitive people. They're just good.
Yeah.
I think it's the competitiveness that raises the bar for the people like myself. I wasn't the most gifted athlete, but I knew what I wanted and I knew how to get it and I knew the work involved to get that.
Yeah.
I think I'm a worker, so I like getting behind the scenes, being a bit quiet, doing the hard, dirty work, and then showing everyone what I got.
Yeah, so interesting. So would you say that you're more hard work than talent? Like,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The double coin. Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Look, man, let's talk about the Olympics and getting to that stage, because obviously huge goal.
Yeah.
And it's mind-blowing for a lot of people. Now, when you get to that day, you've been working hard for years and years, but then of course, potentially those last few months are just super intense.
Yeah.
I just want to talk about the mindset going into that. You are an animal, you are a beast. If anyone's watching your videos, you train hard and probably most civilians are scared of you walking past you in the street, but we're all human, right?
Yeah.
And when you go into something like this, not only are you competing against others, but more importantly, you're competing against yourself. I think you expose the darker sides of yourself or the more vulnerable sides.
Yeah, I like that.
Let's talk about that. Let's put on the table. What did you feel and what sort of demons were you battling going into this game?
I love
competition.
The demons that I find demons in competition, in people perhaps that have said something, or I love proving people wrong.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a thing of mine that people close to me know. I like training from a dark place. I don't necessarily need to make a lot of noise about it. This day and age, social media demands that we do make a lot of noise about it, and I have to be on board with that, particularly with my business. I kind of wish, I could just shut up, work in the shadows, and then, compete and get into it. So back in the day with swimming, I remember two guys, kind of three guys, and they were the talented kids. I'm seriously talking like 7 years old.
Yeah.
And it's just funny that even back then, I always knew I was going to beat them. It was just a matter of time because I had the work ethic. And it was my work ethic that kind of made things go a little bit undone towards the end as I was aging as a swimmer and becoming more mature, and I should have been basically dialing back what I was doing and just practicing sprinting because I was a sprinter. But my work ethic kind of, the coaches that had me would generally try and push me to my limits, and that ended up being more like sort of 400 meter freestyle style training rather than just focusing on my sprinting events. But mindset wise, to get back to your question, sorry, I like it coming from a dark place. I like picturing those people that are a little bit better than me and knowing I'm going to get you.
Yeah, 100%. Did you have fears that you were dealing with? Were there like insecurities or moments where like, I just don't know if I'm up for the task, or I don't know if I can do it? Like what are some of the more vulnerable places that you went on the road to the Olympics?
Well, it's funny, man, because those athletes, or at least myself as an athlete now, and as a 35-year-old man now, I look at myself back then, and the stuff that I was dealing with them is so minuscule. It's childish, like thinking, like I used to think I was going to be a swimmer and that was my life.
Yeah.
I'm going to make the Olympics and become super famous and then just ride the coattails of that.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a grown man now. I'm a father. I run a business, I've got a partner. Like, the stuff that I deal with this day and age, just as an adult, seems to be a lot more overwhelming than the times when I was living in Malta by myself for a year, not even speaking the national language, riding my push bike to the pool, swimming up and down 4 to 6K a day, doing my gym work, riding home, riding to the supermarkets, getting my food, studying online, riding back to the gym in the afternoon, doing another pool session. Like, to me, that was the easy part. Being an adult these days is the hard part, and managing relationships and business and just every day-to-day stuff. That's the kind of emotional stuff that I don't really have that many tools to deal with. I wish I could go back just into the swimming days and it just all be about the pool, or just all be about my training in the gym. I wish I could just be a professional athlete again.
Absolutely. So would you say that on that journey then you were pretty much dialed in the zone, and you weren't really maybe giving those fears, insecurities a vote? You were blocking that shit out, and you were just on.
You just hit it on the head. I was so dialed in, so focused, nothing else mattered.
Wow,
I was training for the Olympics. Money didn't matter, not that I was financially well off or anything. It's just that it didn't matter. Like my goal mattered. Swimming kept me company. My goals kept me company. And I was out to do something quite unique. I was coaching myself. So I had to take a step back as a 22-year-old athlete, basically learn how to coach and perform at the same time.
Yeah, wow.
So I think that's a skill that I can pass on to my current athletes and members and just general fitness people. Yeah. I know what it takes from both sides. I know what it takes to be a coach, to coach an athlete to a world level event, and I know what it's like to be an athlete and make it to a world level event.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's dive into that a little bit. Tell us about the coaching journey. You mentioned just before that you weren't that happy with the coaching at the time, and then you've just mentioned you coached yourself on that journey, which is super unique. Tell us about some of those ups and downs with the coaching element.
So I mean, I'd had a few frustrations with coaches in the past. Okay, so my story is I was nationally renowned for dying in the last 25 meters of a 100-meter race. Yeah. I would regularly go out in the first 50 meters, not even trying that hard, just had that natural speed and ability. I'd hit the wall at the 50-meter mark, and I would regularly be under world record pace, come off the wall, do my underwater work, break out, start swimming, and then it would hit me. So if you know much about sports performance, you would know that I wasn't fit enough, wasn't fit enough to last the 100-meter race. What I understand, and if you're not that educated, a natural knee-jerk reaction could be to say something like, okay, well, you don't last 100 meters butterfly. So we're going to try and train you for the 200-meter butterfly so that the 100 is easier.
Yeah, right.
And it kind of makes sense if you just leave it at that. But when you start to dive into energy systems and your anaerobic sort of capacity, that's when things were going a bit sideways because I wasn't practicing my event. Yeah. Because in the 200-meter butterfly, you don't swim as fast as you swim in the 100-meter butterfly. So I wasn't training that energy system to be as quick as it needed to be or last as long as it needed to be at a high enough intensity. So that's where I really started to educate myself and take responsibility for those things. And it was almost a a golden opportunity for me to remove myself out of Australian swimming, out of the coaches and the people that I had around me that were doing the best job that they could. So I never have a problem with them, but I just attacked it from a different angle.
Yeah.
So I actually reduced my workload by easily half. And then I was living in Malta, training myself. And that has obviously translated into me taking my job as a coach very seriously, into the advice that I give and knowing which way it's going to send my athletes. So I keep things relatively simple. You know, I'm a guy that keeps things really simple. I'm not known, I guess, if you watch my Instagram and stuff, I'm kind of known for doing. It's hard to say because in one way it's a different style of things, but in other ways I keep it pretty textbook and pretty simple. But these days my coaching is heavily focused on fighters. I've come over to Combat Training Center. You come down there yourself. Absolutely. You start a little bit of jiu-jitsu, which is good to see.
Good fun.
And they're the kind of fighters, they're the kind of athletes that I really enjoy working with these days. But the principles that I apply to these fighters can be applied to general fitness and other sports as well.
Yeah, incredible. Let's talk about the day of the Olympics. How did you feel? What sort of emotions were rushing through you? And then when it was all over, like that night, how did you feel then?
Yeah. Interesting story because the Olympics wasn't necessarily about a day. If I was to say a day, it would have been the opening ceremony.
Yeah.
That's the day where we were out, we all lined up as teams and we had our uniforms on and we got to march out into a stadium of 80,000 people in Beijing, China.
Yeah.
Those fireworks, everything going off, that was pretty amazing. Not all athletes get to experience that, particularly swimmers, because swimming is the first event or one of the first events. Which is cool because as a swimmer, we get to get in there, get our job done, and then basically relax for the rest of the Olympics. Go attend and watch some sports and things like that.
Yes.
So the opening ceremony to me, that was really when I was like, oh yeah, I made it. You know, I'm here. I'm at the Olympics. So that was the journey for me. It was very unique. A hell of a lot of hard work to get there. So almost walking out at that Olympic ceremony was almost like a relief to be like, I'm really here. Like I've made it. The race day itself, to be honest, I don't remember a lot of. I remember trying on my suit because we could wear the full length swimming suits and stuff back then. You know, getting to the pool, warming up. After that, the only thing I do remember was it was the first time I'd taken No-Dose, the caffeine supplement. So obviously in my own research, I'd taken No-Dose and I'd never even drunk coffee before. Oh, wow. And I'm not going to say how many No-Dose I took, but it was more than a person that hadn't taken one should have.
Yeah, right.
And after that, I don't remember much at all. I do not remember my race. I kind of remember walking out to the blocks, and that's about it. But the cool thing is I did a PB, and you know people are really quick to ask, "Oh, did you medal? Did you make the final and all that?" I didn't. I'm okay with that. My ego's fine. You know, Michael Phelps won the race. I am happy to admit I was never as good as Michael Phelps, but I did just miss the semis. My goal was to make the semis. But I just missed that. But my point is I swam faster than I'd ever had in my life.
Yeah, nice.
And that was a result of a whole year of training myself, doing things differently in the gym, doing things very differently in the pool. And it was a gamble. And to me, the gamble paid off. And it's something that no one can ever take off me, that I wear as a badge of pride. And I can't wait to really try and tell my daughter how cool I am. But she doesn't believe me yet. But one day, you know, I look forward to being proud and telling my daughter, you know, my stories.
Oh, I love it. I'm sure she will be. That's incredible, man. And a huge achievement. So No-Dose, do you reckon it worked or not?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Caffeine's one of the most peer-reviewed published. We know it works. There you go.
Look, man, with your practices building up to this and as an athlete, you know, we talk about mindset a lot and things of that nature. Are you someone back then and now that uses goal setting and visualization to help give you the edge? And did you use visualization for the Olympics?
I did. I don't know if I've spoken at length about this, but I went pretty heavy down the secret pathway.
Love it.
I didn't have anyone, this was 2008. Social media was, there, but not, everything. Didn't, people like yourself, like I would have gravitated towards people like yourself, like very motivational and you've got a lot of tools to direct people. I just stumbled across The Secret. I believe I watched like the movie, I think. And then I figured, okay, well, there's no real downside to being positive, no real downside to visualization and seeing these things. And I guess willing it. You know? What I don't like is when people are a little, not cocky, but just make statements. So it happens all the time in the fight game. So in the fight game, it's notorious for having fighters say, I'm going to knock him out in one round. And, the Conor McGregor style, I believe he's a different kettle. I mean, he backed up almost everything he said, like scarily. But local fighters, when I see local fighters on the scene, almost just talking a little bit too confidently, I'm the kind of guy, and when I talk to my guys about mindset, is I'm the kind of guy that says I train and I work so hard and I believe in the training that I've done so much that all I have to do is my best effort, and my best effort will be enough to win or, win the fight, win the swimming race, whatever. So mindset wise, I believe I create my confidence in the training. And then I know that all I have to do is just try my best.
I love that. And look, and I agree. I think there's no downside to trying to manifest or being more optimistic and just having that visual component to your training or to life in general. I mean, anything to give you the edge that isn't going to detract or harm you, why the hell wouldn't you give it a go and try it? Do you know what I mean?
As long as it doesn't take away from my effort. As long as I don't think subconsciously, consciously, mentally somewhere that by willing something, it's just going to happen for me.
Exactly.
That's what I'm a little bit careful of in terms of those positive mindsets and I guess the secret mind. What is it like? What's the word I'm looking for? Not like abundance. Manifestation. So I'm not real big on manifesting a Ferrari. I'm big on wanting a Ferrari and manifesting the will to do the work that it takes to get it.
I love it. Nothing's going to beat hard work. And you're right. Action is everything. It's all well and good. You gotta visualize, manifest, goal set, all of the traits. You're not backing that up with the grind every single day. Well, it doesn't work, does it? Now everyone's got to remember that.
And these days we're lucky, like I love social media. I love and hate it, but I only love it for the good parts, and we can ignore the bad parts and we can find the good parts. And these days you can be so educated just by following the right people. I don't even have to read the right books anymore. I can follow people like yourself, and then you can tell me what books to read and things like that. So part of my, my daily motivation is just knowing that I have guys like you on my phone right there ready to go.
Absolutely. 100%. Let's talk a little bit about the dark side that we spoke about before. And I've talked a little bit about this in different conversations, and it seems to be coming up a lot more these days. People like Michael Jordan harness his dark side, Kobe. You just described it in what you do. And I see it in athletes. I see it in really savage entrepreneurs in a good way. I see it in people that are just driven and determined. And when I say the dark side, I think there's, light and dark to all of us. And I think the dark side is the aggression that we hold. Maybe you feel emotions of hate or anger and things of that. And rather than not utilizing them and suppressing them, driving them towards that energetic momentum, pushing that toward your goals, right? Do you see that a lot? Obviously in the fight game, I dare say you see a lot of that, driving that forward. Do you feel like that was an important component for you to control? And then tell me about what you see in athletes that you train at the highest level.
Well, it's an interesting topic because I think it's something that's been pushed away. Because I remember, I haven't really had this conversation, but I remember growing up and I remember those two kids that were better than me and I didn't like them and they were cocky little, and I was dark back then. Just wait. Just wait. And every time I would train, I'd do dumb shit. I'd be like, I'd wait until he'd finished and then I'd do one more lap.
Nice.
That's my dark place. And I remember growing up, you know, in my teens and that, and that's when all the whole positive mindset, you know, everything's positive. And it was almost, really shunned to, I think there could be potential. I'm not a mindset guy. I'm a strength coach. I like training myself, and I can only speak on my own behalf. But I've never performed better when I had someone to show up.
Absolutely.
You know, like I'll give you one story that comes to mind. So the two kids that used to always beat me, I ended up beating, and I'm talking young. Like I was probably about 9 or 10 when that happened, when I bumped up to number 1. Yeah. And I had this long reign of being, you know, on the local scene. I was the kid to beat, you know, so I was winning everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And it came to about the age of about 15, and this kid that was just a notorious joker. He was just, you know, his dad would obviously put him in the pool, and he was just there to swim. Yeah. And he would piss me off because I was a very serious trainer, even back then, even as a 12-year-old, you know, kid. Yeah. And he would piss me off because he would always cut laps and blah, blah, blah. But then he had a growth spurt, and he got real tall, and all of a sudden he was really good at swimming, like breaking national records and really good. Wow. And it kind of happened that I was the butterflyer and the backstroker, and he was like the freestyle and the breaststroker. And so I would have my 2 events, he would have his 2, and then we'd meet, you know, like, so it would be very close on everything else. The only thing that wasn't really close was he was heaps better than me at breaststroke. I was much better than him at butterfly. Yeah. Anyway, long story short, we got to the club championships, which is just the Tweedhead Swimming Pool Club Championships. With, if anyone's watching, like back in the day, it used to be a pretty big deal. Yeah. Friday night swimming club. And I had a goal of being club champion. I was club champion every single year. And then this year, and the whole swimming club, and I believe, I like, you know, you call me modest these days, but I know I was a cocky little shit back in the day. And that's probably why I'm so careful of it these days. So the whole swimming club, it was kind of sad actually, but the whole swimming club divided into 2 groups. You either supported this kid or you supported me. It was it was a big deal, man. Well, to me at least it was. Yeah. Anyway, long story short, we were tied on points. Yeah. And the last event was the 200 meter IM, individual medley, which involves all the butterfly, backstroke, breaststroke, freestyle. Yeah. I not only had to win that event, but I had to break the record to get the points to win this club championships. Yeah, yeah. And it was one of the hardest races of my life because it involved all the different strokes. I wasn't an IM swimmer, so I had no business even being in the race, let alone breaking the record. Yeah, yeah. Somehow I pulled a finger out and I did it. And like, I remember that to this day. And I was like 15 years old. My dad was right there at the end of the pool, like, you know, pulling me out of the pool, you know, giving me a hug and stuff. And I wouldn't have done that if I didn't have my dark place, that dark motivation, because 100%. He's a little shit. Yeah. So I wanted to feed him and I wanted to beat him. And, and I perform better when things are like that.
100%.
So I would encourage people to start exploring that dark side and letting it out a little bit, especially in the gym where it's a nice controlled environment and you can just really let loose at the weights.
Yeah, well, look, I agree. I think it's like you're either going to suppress it or you can express it. But obviously if you express it, it's got to be controlled and resourceful. And what better way to do it but in competition and training. It's such a good outlet for people. Yeah. And it'd probably save a lot of people a lot of grief if they actually did, you know, do things like that.
I've dealt with a bit in the gym, man, and I learn a lot about people in the gym. I learn who they are. I learn their resilience. I learn how hard they are. But as you know, like I went through a relatively hard time, like a pretty shitty divorce and then separation from my child's mother and that. And the gym was where I could let a lot of it out. Like I remember really like harnessing that and pulling out some big sets in the gym.
Absolutely.
So if I can give anyone advice, I don't think you have to suppress that dark side. You can sort of use it to your advantage at times.
Definitely. Channel it. I love that. Let's talk about after the Olympics. What a journey you've had up until that point. Incredible. Now, I've coached a bunch of different athletes, especially after their careers. And what I've seen for a lot of them is they have a bit of a a bit of a crisis almost after they finish, because their identity is so attached to the sport, so attached to being that person.
Yeah.
Let's talk about you exiting being a pro swimmer, professional swimmer, into the real world, let's call it. And did you have a bit of an identity crisis or shift? And tell us about how you managed that.
And let me make something straight. I wasn't world famous, you know, like I was, but in my world, I was identified and I was proud of being, that Ryan, that swimmer guy, you know, and I was proud of having that identity. So as soon as swimming was gone, who the fuck was I? Ryan. I'm not, you know, and this is probably something I need to work on in myself, because I'm not satisfied with being Ryan, you know? And like I said, I'm not, you know, I'm not a motivational speaker or anything like that. I know what I've been through. The reason I bring up the fact that I wasn't that world famous is because a couple of my good friends were, like one of my best mates, Ash Callis, who was an extremely triple Olympian world record holder. He was world famous and he had a much stronger identity with being a swimmer. And I watched him and I saw what he went through. So I think he went through a harder time than I did, just because he was that extra level. And you know, I'm sure all those boys, those Sydney Olympic guys, you know, they were just put on such a pedestal. And then when that was over, gone. And that is what happened to me to a lower degree or a lesser degree. And I'll be honest with you, that's why I threw myself in the gym, because I needed a new identity. So I wasn't Ryan the swimmer anymore. And then what I realized, the cool thing about the gym, and as call it what you want, I'm just being honest, I thought, oh, cool. When I walk around, people don't know I'm a good swimmer. Like only the people that know me know that I'm a good swimmer. And I wore that as a badge of pride. I thought, well, with the gym, people will know that I go to the gym. So my first ever goal when I started lifting weights was I wanted to look like I went to the gym. And I'm so sure that so many guys can relate to that. Because it's a shitty feeling when you are going to the gym. And so any of you guys out there know, I'm sure you went through it. I went through it as well. I went through a phase where I did not look like I went to the gym. And it used to kill me. I hated it. So that was my first goal. And I guess I just threw the discipline that I had from my swimming career just straight into the gym. I didn't know any different. You know, got big, got strong, and got educated. Because straight after my swimming career, I had two options. I had the option to go and live in Spain, in Barcelona. And train. I had a 4-year contract with the Barcelona Swimming Club. I could train for 4 years there for London 2012. Or I could go and do my PTs, Cert 3 and Cert 4. Believe it or not, I chose the Cert 3 and Cert 4.
Amazing.
Because I kind of felt like it was time to... I got excited about work life, you know. I did the calculation. I knew that if I went to 2012, I was going to be about 27 years old with almost nothing to my name, because you don't make anything as a swimmer unless you're, you know, Michael Phelps or Ian Thorpe. On the flip side, I could begin my studies and begin training and get good and start my new life as a strength coach. And I'm pretty happy I did.
Absolutely. Very good move on your part. I mean, now you are renowned as an amazing strength coach. You've trained some incredible people. Lots of athletes just gravitate towards you, and you command respect in the gym, which is incredible. Tell us a little bit about some of the athletes that you currently train and specialize in.
So I was working up at KDV Sport, which is an incredible facility on the Gold Coast. If no one's been there, go check it out. It's the largest private investment in sport in Australia in history. So they've dropped well over 30 million up there. It's a tennis facility, a golf facility, and then I was in charge of running the gym. So I had a really good relationship with the people there, working with golf athletes and tennis athletes, but I've always gravitated towards fighters. So I don't know what it is, maybe because I have more of an interest in the sport myself. I like competing in the sport myself. So and I guess my personality and my training style resonates more with that kind of category of people. So now, I've been very, very lucky to been offered a job at Combat Training Centre, head of strength and conditioning there. And then as part of the role there, we've gone more so, and you know, times are tough with COVID around, we've gone more so down the path of online coaching, which is something I've always been interested in, but I'm so busy practically with my clients.
Yes.
Like I'm very, I know what I'm good at. I'm very good with hands-on stuff. I'm good with technical lifting and correcting people that way. But now with technology, I can do all that with things like video analysis.
Yes.
You've seen my video analysis and stuff that I do. The application that I'm using with my online guys is ridiculous. Like my online guys, get just as much, if not more, from me than my face-to-face guys. And now I've created this structure because I was getting so much with the online stuff. I've created RG5 on hybrid coaching now. So I've got my online option if you can't ever make it to the gym, wherever you are. And then I've got my hybrid option now, which is basically you're an online client.
Yeah.
But I still see you once a week.
Yeah,
and you get
I
a discounted PT session. You still have your app and you follow the structure on your app. So you would basically still come into the gym and feel like you're undertaking your own program, but I'm going to be there as well. So I can oversee, you can ask me questions, and I can correct your technical form as we go. And that's all I've kind of been, as you launch things, you kind of feel them out. If it's going to work, it's working so well.
Amazing.
I'm really happy with it. So working with the guys from Combat Training Center. And we're launching this app really soon, new website launching soon. So it's all
exciting.
happening.
Yeah. And so do you have many like pro athletes or athletes on that app? Like your fighters, etc.
Currently we have,
on the hybrid model?
no, because it's only new.
Yeah.
So it's only new. So I'm still testing the waters with general guys. Athletes wise from the gym, it's hard because hardly anyone's fighting now.
Yeah.
You know, so like I see we've got a group and so our biggest local show is Eternal MMA.
Yeah.
But that keeps getting planned to go on.
It's been
and
a crazy year. It's been a crazy year.
It's been pretty hard.
Yeah.
So I'm using this time to do kind of the background work.
Yeah.
And then
Smart.
say, okay, guys, this is how we're moving forward. So, because it was a pretty big transition for me from KDV coming down to Combat.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to say, I've been able to maintain all the bridges, no bridges burnt,
Yeah, of
everyone
course.
wishing each other well. And that's the thing here on the Gold Coast. You want to maintain integrity and try and do things the right way.
Yeah, so true. Now, with some of these fighters that you coach currently, what are some of the mentality or mindset elements you see in the best fighters or the best athletes in general that you train? Is there something that you're just like, yep, these guys just all seem to have that thing?
No, I'm going to say no. Like everyone's their own sort of athlete.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to say there's one common element. I mean, obviously the common element is they're all willing to invest in getting better.
Yeah.
That to answer your question, that's going to be my answer. But no common like personality traits. Like you'd be very, very surprised with the mix of personalities that you get when it comes to fighters and pro fighters. You get like the nicest guys I know are fighters. Like fighting, it's almost like it needs a different term, because fighting to me is bickering. Fighting to me is back chat, like blah, 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 where fighting is competing. It's a sport where you have two intelligent people that are very good at attacking someone and protecting themselves. So it's, that's almost where the general public goes wrong with, putting an opinion on the UFC and fighting in general, because it's not fighting. We see fighting all the time. Trained athletes aren't fighting, they're competing.
Yeah, 100%. No, I agree with that. And I think it does get that bad stigma, but you're right. These guys are freaking intelligent and it's strategic and unconsuming a lot of the time. A lot of these, incredible fighters. I mean, Jace Man over here, national champion. He's probably blushing over there in the corner. But like, again, some people you see, you like, you wouldn't set they will absolutely destroy.
I mean, even if you talk back in the days when cages were banned in Victoria,
exactly,
because there was a cage. It's like, dude, you just took away the safest aspect of the sport. Guys go flying out of rings. That's how uneducated you are, and you're making decisions.
Yeah, so true.
It's not the brutal sport that people say it is. Yes. People get punched in the nose and their nose bleeds, stuff. Yep, okay, I get how that comes across as brutal. But when you're competing in something, it's just not that bad.
Yeah, so true. All right, look, we've talked a lot about your achievements. You're a legend. Everyone knows that now. So let's go a little bit deeper, huh? Okay. Let's play a bit of a game. I call this rapid fire. I'm going to ask you some questions. You give me a quick answer. All right. You've got to have your wits about you. And then I'm going to say a few words, and then you just tell me what comes to mind after that. Are you ready?
Do I have a choice?
Get competitive. Right. Tap into the dark side.
Let's go. Right.
Introvert or extrovert?
Introvert.
Are you more nurturing or hard-nosed?
Hard-nosed.
Optimist or pessimist?
Pessimist.
Are you a soldier, a captain, or a visionary?
Soldier.
Say what comes to mind. I am...
Hungry.
Hey, there we go. Someone order this man a burger. I hate.
Hate.
I love.
Love.
Hey, sacrifice.
Can do.
Pain.
Easy.
Problems.
In your head.
The future is...
Smooth.
Yeah, I like that. And it freaking will be if you make it so. Let's talk about the future.
Yeah.
You've spoken a little bit about, obviously, your coaching. You're coming out with all these new training apps and things of that nature, which are going to absolutely blow people's socks off. Where are you headed in your career right now?
One of your questions just kind of told you a little bit about myself. I'm a soldier. Like, I think I'm a soldier. You point me in the direct... I have no hesitation in saying that I'm very good at what I do. It's the roundabout stuff that I struggle with, maybe the business stuff, and that's why I love being close to someone like yourself. That we've had conversations where I said I just can't convert. You know, like I have these great business ideas. The only reason my hybrid stuff and my online stuff is getting off the ground is because I've got to give a big shout out to Hype Group here in Varsity Lakes in Burleigh. They're really helping me and just pointing me in the right direction. And I've always felt like I need that, and I'm okay admitting that. Some people would struggle being like, "Oh, I'm not the captain," you know, whatever. I am a soldier, but I'm a damn good one.
Absolutely.
And you put me in front of someone or an audience or a camera, and I can deliver my product. And the only reason I have confidence in that is because I know my product.
Yeah.
You know, a really good friend of mine is in a different industry, and he had to do a podcast, and he's like, "Mate, how do you do these podcasts?" And I said, "Mate, you'll be fine because you know your product. Just deliver your product."
Yeah.
So the future for me is acknowledging that I'm a soldier, acknowledging that I'm good at what I do, but also acknowledging that I need help in the areas that need help, and then finding the right people for that. So for me, that was Hype Group here and someone like yourself. So
Absolutely. It's exciting, man. Got a lot of cool things on the cards.
Well, speaking of exciting, you know, for me, it was exciting for me to get a message from you and say, "Hey, bro, do you want to team up and do this project?"
Absolutely. So people listening, we are going to be coming out with this epic project, and we're going to start off with some 2-day intensives, some pretty full-on intensive workshops. And, you know, we had a discussion about the concept and what we wanted to deliver, and it's all about just improving people, mind, body, and soul. And so we're going to be combining the training aspect that you deliver at an intense level.
Yeah.
People are absolutely going to be blown away. Minimum 4 sessions across the intensive. And then we're going to be delving deep into people's psychology, breaking down fears, limiting beliefs, creating visions, rituals, and helping them periodize programming and a whole bunch of cool stuff. So, man, I'm so excited. It's going to be awesome. I know people are going to be blown away by what we can deliver.
Yeah, I think the dynamic's going to work well. We just need a platform where we can be ourselves. And I think it's definitely going to come across as good cop, bad cop.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to be in charge of making people get through that painful part, and then you're going to be in charge of building them back up.
Absolutely.
But
what a team.
It's not, I know that it's not something that either of us are taking lightly. It's something that we want to attach our names to and deliver to the public. And I think, you know, there's so much of these events and stuff going on, but I don't know how many people can truly live and breathe it like we do. You know, I'm a product of my own, of everything that I do. I know you're a product of everything you do. And I think we're going to mesh, and I think it's going to be a weekend for people, or, you know, a couple of days for people that they can take away and that they'll have for the rest of their life and have a bit of motivation from it.
100%. Yeah. One thing we can guarantee is anyone that's going to come into these intensive, they're not going to leave the same person, which is going to be really, really cool to watch.
Yeah.
I love that. One more question for you, my friend. I've had an amazing chat with you, and I love to ask this question to finish off. If we could put you in a time machine, take you back to meet little Ryan and give him some advice, give him some tips to grow, thrive, and conquer throughout your career and life, what would you want to know back then? What would you love for you to tell yourself?
Whoa. I don't know if I would. I don't know if I'd tell myself anything.
Yeah.
I'd just say suck it up and just be strong and just keep going, because I have always landed on my feet. Maybe I'll say that. Maybe I'll say, mate, Just work hard and you will always land on your feet.
Trust.
I don't know why, but no matter how bad things get, I always land on my feet, highly likely due to the people that I surround myself with, or just the people that we gravitate towards. But yeah, that work ethic has to stay in there, and just know that everything's always going to be okay.
Yeah, I love that. Trust the process. But no doubt you land on your feet because you're of sound character and you show the fuck up every single day. And that's what it's all about, isn't it? My man, thank you so much for joining me. The future's bright and we are pumped to bring some special things in the coming weeks and months.
Nice.
Thanks again, my man.
Thank you, mate.